Growing up, like I said, my dad was an entrepreneur. He had his own business, Wright's Printing, and he was always doing his own thing. My mom was always doing her own thing. They were always in the house thinking of things to invent, thinking of things to do, thinking of things. And I used to always be like, that is so whack. Why would somebody want to use that? Why would somebody want to do that? Like my mom would make up this thing like, oh, these socks. You put all your socks in this basket, and so you don't lose socks. You put them in this basket, and you wash them in this bag, and this little stuff. And I used to be like, so now I'm like that, and I know I got that from my parents, like always coming up with something, always coming up with ideas. Like my brain never stops about things that could be, or, and I thank them for that because they made me a dreamer. And my mom tells me, she's like, I wish I had left a long time ago like you did. Like you had the courage to really actually get up from Memphis and leave and go pursue your dreams, and you actually made them happen. So when I'm going through stuff like this, it's kind of like I feel like, I let my family down because they look up to me because I left and made something possible happen. They looked at me like, yo, we can do that too. So basically, once my, when I was talking about going to New York all the time, I was trying to get out of the house to go to college, and I went to UT for a second, but that didn't work out for me. They sent me back home because I was so excited to be out of the house. I wasn't really doing my work, so I went right back to Memphis, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here. So I started talking about New York. I think I want to go to New York, and I want to act, and I want to model, and I want to do this. And everybody was like, go to New York? They're like, you don't know nobody in New York? You gonna go up there and get your ass killed? And I was like, killed? I was like, nah, I'm about to go up there. So I went to visit. I asked my dad. My dad was always pretty much supportive because he knew my mom was like on some hardcore Jehovah's Witness, you can't do nothing type of thing. And he was like, yo, I think you should go to New York, just see what's going on. If you go up there and you like it, you stay. And if you don't make it, you can always come back home. It's that simple. And I was like, yeah, it is that simple. But right before I was kind of putting my life together to try to make that move, my mom calls me like, yo, nobody's heard from your dad all day. She's like, I'm getting scared. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I was like, what? So, and then my daughter's mom at the time, my daughter wasn't here yet, but my daughter's mom told me that she needed to talk to me. So I took her to this restaurant, and she was like, because I was really getting serious. I was selling all of my things. I was selling stuff. I was selling my car. I was selling my earrings. I was selling everything. Like, I'm leaving. And people were coming over buying stuff real, like, cheap from me. Like, I was like, that's all you gonna give me? They was like, you trying to leave or not? So I would sell all these valuables I had, because I was doing okay in Memphis. It's like I was just like, yeah, I got the car, I got the house, I got the
You were doing
the
okay.
jewelry.
Am I clear on what you were doing? What were you doing?
I was working at Sharp, this place, Sharp Manufacturing, but I also had my little side. So so I was making money, but it was like I was thinking about my life, and I was like, but this ain't really nothing. I don't care about this stuff. This stuff is small to me. This stuff big to other people in Memphis. They think I'm doing big things, but to me, I'm like, this ain't nothing. Like I wanna live bigger than this. So I'm like, I got to leave and go to New York. So
tell me what happened. So you went to dinner? Or
yeah, I went to dinner with my baby mom, with Carla, and she's like, I gotta tell you something before you leave that might affect your decision. And I was like, what? And she's like, I'm pregnant. And I was like, what? Like. And I was about to do that famous question, like, by who? So she was looking at me like, yeah, you got me pregnant. Like, and I was like, how is that possible? Like, I feel like I protected myself. How are you pregnant? Like, no. So then all of a sudden, right then, crazy it is, as it may seem, my phone rang, and I told her I got to get up from the table. Like, hold on. I was like, I'm still leaving. So if it is mine, we're going to do what we got to do, but I'm leaving. There ain't nothing stopping me. I'm leaving. So then the phone rings. I walk off, and my mom is telling me, yo, nobody's heard from your dad all day. He didn't come home. They say he didn't come back and turn his company truck in and all of this. And I'm like, so just, he probably, I'm thinking my dad, I'm like, maybe he's with some woman, and just give him a little time and he'll call. Like, so I'm like, mama, just calm down. You're making something out of nothing. Just give him a little time. So she calls me back and says he still, hours later, she's like, he still hasn't called. I was like, what? So I'm back at my daughter's mom's house right now, getting the rest of the story about how she's pregnant and what we gonna do and all this.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm like, and then she tells me, then she calls me and she's like, he ain't showing, he ain't came home. That's not like him. I'm calling his phone, he won't answer it, keep picking up on the first ring. I'm like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden we find out, like he's been kidnapped and murdered and chopped up, and they dismembered his body and burnt him so nobody could find him, and he walked in on a gun deal going back, and it went, whatever, and they just didn't let him leave. And so we found out all this stuff, and it just kind of, it fucked me up. It was like,
Right.
I was like, what? I was like, who does this happen to? I was like, right when I said I'm leaving to go to New York to better myself, to change my life, and then I get these 2 consecutive messages like, you can't leave, telling me I can't leave. So I stayed home, and I was like, we were looking for my dad. It was this big campaign. My dad was on they showed my dad's picture on America's Most Wanted, as far as the missing persons or whatever. It was CNN, all this stuff. So we just around putting up posters, looking for my dad until we found out what was going on, and then it was like, I was just kind of torn.
How'd you find out?
They caught, I forgot who they caught, but the guys kind of had confessed that something had went wrong, and then as one guy confessed, everybody kind of started, telling what happened, and it led back to this guy, Dale Martis, who was a Ku Klux Klan member that actually killed my dad. So he's in prison for life now. But at first they gave him like 10 or 11 years, and whatever. So they had it on TV where they gave him 11 years, and my family went crazy in the courtroom. My sister jumped over the thing, and they was reprimanding everybody. I even got ousted from the courtroom because I came in and it was these black guys. And I found, they were in on it. They helped the guy, kill my dad. So the guy had touched me on my shoulder. He was like, "Man, I'm so sorry." And I had came out of town from New York to come to the court case because my mom told me that I should be there. So he touched me on the shoulder, and I went ham in the courtroom. Like, I was going crazy. The judge said he got to get out of here. He's not allowed back in the courtroom. So I kind of went back to New York, and my mom said, "I'll just kind of keep you up on what's going on from here." So I was in New York hallucinating. I thought I saw my dad driving a cab. I chased the cab one time, looking like, got to the cab and looking like I'm going crazy. And
How long ago was that?
That was like 2000. Like when I got to New York, it was 2001. Especially when it was fresh. It was like 2001, 2002.
They thought your father just happened to walk in on something.
He was a zoning officer, so he was walking in on this guy that they had been having problems with as far as zoning and his signs and all of this, and they sent my dad because my mom was.
Okay. Yeah, what is your mother saying about the position that you're in now?
She just like she just kind of like she always telling me to pray and remember pray and keep praying, and you got to do this and you got to do that stuff that a mom would say. She's hurting for me, but she knows I'm a soldier, so she don't know what I'm quite doing at all times. She just knows I'm doing something. So because I don't really tell my moves all the time. I just do what I do. So she basically told me to just go to New York. Your dad told you to go to New York, and if you don't make it, you can come back home. So I think you should go. And that's when I packed up and left, and I went to New York, and I took 1 or 2 bags, and I got there, and I enrolled in this little school. I got there, and I kind of took it from there. Living on